We have House File 112, Representative Bernardy's bill up today. I will move that House File 112 be recommended to pass and be re-referred to the Committee on Commerce, Finance, and Policy. Representative Bernardy, welcome to the committee, and please present your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. It's an honor to be here today. The bill before you repeals the current notice to residents and others when a manufactured home park owner is planning to offer the park for sale and replaces it with a new section providing additional notice and offer requirements. It accomplishes two goals. First, it requires people who own manufactured home parks to tell the park's resident homeowners if they're planning to sell. Second, it gives homeowners 60 days to put together an offer to buy the park. That is it. It doesn't require park owners to sell to the homeowners. It simply makes homeowners aware that the land their home sits on is on the market, and it provides them a short time frame for those homeowners to develop a bid for the park's owner's consideration. If park owners reject the homeowner's bid, they let the homeowners know within 5 days. If the park owners accept the homeowner's bid, the property must continue to be affordable housing for at least the next 50 years. Although manufactured home parks are affordable places to live, that affordability comes with significant risk. Park residents own their homes, but not the land under their home. The bill offers owners of these homes the opportunity to join with at least 51% of their homeowners to put an offer on the land that's for sale. There are currently 900 manufactured home parks across the state of Minnesota, and they are home to more than 180 Minnesotans. Just over 9 of those communities are owned by the residents, representing 700 home sites. Increasingly, parks are being bought out by out-of-state investor buyers. Last year alone, 862 manufactured homes sites were sold. 70% of those were sold to out-of-state buyers. With each year that passes, more and more parks are sold to out-of-state investors. Minnesota is losing the affordable housing at an alarming rate. We lose an average of 100 homes sites per year. The last new park community to open in the Twin Cities was in 1990. When a park closes, most homes are lost. Many homes can't be moved, or they are too old to be accepted by another park. Finally, I need to take a moment to make sure we all understand that this bill does not force a landowner to sell to residents, nor would it lower the sale price of the park. I just want to reiterate that this bill does not force the landowner to sell the park. With me today is the president of Park Plaza, which is in my own community, made up of 88 homeowners are the number of sites that are on, and I will let her talk more about our park and the importance of this bill. And with us today is Madam Chair, is Natividad Seefeld.
Natividad Seefeld, welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record. Do we have her on mute?
It appears she is muted at the moment.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh my goodness sakes.
Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record.
Natividad Seefeld. Good morning, Representative Hausman and members of the Housing Finance and Policy Committee. I thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Natividad Seefeld. I own a home in the city of Fridley in Park Plaza Cooperative, a resident-owned manufactured home community. Our cooperative is home to 83 families, all ages and all backgrounds. I'm fortunate to live in a in one of Minnesota's 9 resident-owned communities. I am the current president on the board, and we have been a resident-owned community since February 15, 2011. And yes, that makes us 10 years old this month. Before 2011, I had to live with the same uncertainty that 45,000 Minnesota families face every day. Is this the day I received the notice that I have to move because the community is being closed? Is this the day my family finds out we are forced to leave our home, jobs, family, and friends? Or will it be like many other days, a day where my neighbors and I keep asking for repairs and improvements and never anything happens? A day where community rules are unfairly applied, a day when rent gets raised on a whim at least twice a year. But for me, today, everything is different. I do not fear losing my home. My neighbors and I make improvements to our homes, knowing that it's an investment we won't lose due to decisions someone else makes for us. We also welcome new people into our community, and they are relieved to move into the community where they can feel secure. My household budget also feels more manageable. I know that land rent will only go up if the cost of managing the community increases beyond what the community has already planned for. We are proud of the fact that we manage the community well and have had no significant rent increases in the past 10 years. It's also important to know we improve our community. We added a playground, replaced utility systems, added more lighting, added readable water meters, added fire hydrants, of which we did not have before, added new roads, and even built a new storm shelter and community building. All of this while making sure we didn't raise the rent much. Buying the community wasn't easy. It was a long, hard, nerve-wracking process for the residents. It would have been easier with the type of policies proposed today in House File 112. In closing, I know the other residents of Park Plaza sleep better at night knowing our community is ours. I ask that Minnesota legislator to make it easier for other residents to preserve their communities as well. This is my hope and dream for all manufactured home communities. And I thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you for your testimony. We're joined by Dave Anderson from All Parks Alliance for Change. Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. My name is Dave Anderson. I'm the Executive Director of All Parks Alliance for Change, which is a statewide association of manufactured homeowners. And I speak today in favor of the proposal introduced by Representative Bernardy, House File 112. I won't speak for very long. It's a simple proposal. It requires notice, but it doesn't require selling to the residents or accepting a lower price. It has bipartisan support with the introduction now in the Senate as well by Senator Housley. And it has broad support within the affordable housing community. It's one of the issues prioritized for this session by the Homes for All Coalition. And I do want to just very quickly mention, it's a proposal that's worked very smoothly in other states, including New Hampshire, which has had a policy like this for over 30 years. So it's an important idea, but it's not a new idea, and I ask the committee's support. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. And we're now joined by Mark Brunner. Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record.
Madam Chair, thanks. Mark Brunner, Manufactured Modular Home Association of Minnesota. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you, Representative Bernardy, for an opportunity to visit last week and express some of our concerns that we have with the bill. Essentially, we believe that that it's a solution in search of a problem, as it eliminates fundamental property rights for nearly 1,000 of Minnesota's largest providers of non-subsidized workforce affordable housing. Minnesota is currently recognized as one of the top states in the nation in providing residents of manufactured home communities an equal opportunity and protection to purchase their community when it's offered for sale or sold for redevelopment, exceeding protections in states such as Florida, Arizona, California, all of which have far more community residents as a percentage of their overall populations. For example, currently Minnesota requires what's called a notice of sale is provided by the community owner if they're selling their community and advertising it for sale through a publication, newspaper, real estate broker, by giving notice to all residents in the community. The intent of the statute is to give residents or a resident organization the opportunity to make an offer to the owner of the community, since they obviously have an interest in selling the property. Minnesota's current statute has worked well in allowing the conversion of several privately owned communities, as were mentioned previously, and converting them to cooperative ownership. In all of these ownership conversions, the residents and the resident organization worked with the community owner to negotiate a purchase price and successfully transfer ownership. Some of my members were some of the first to sell their properties to residents for a cooperative conversion under the existing statute. There's not an adversarial relationship in play. It's simply a willing seller and a willing buyer coming together, and that's how the market works. However, if the bill became law, it would discourage new development, expansion, and investments in upgrading existing infrastructure by owners of manufactured home communities. It sets up a litigious process for essentially the benefit of a handful of perhaps large nonprofit buyers at the expense of nearly 1,000 privately owned community owners by them surrendering property rights. The bill takes away a fundamental real estate property right, for example, to grant a first option to purchase, resulting in a loss of income. It takes away the property right of a community owner to bundle or package more than one property they may own when selling or receiving an unsolicited offer. In some cases, the community owner may have other entities that are part of a package that they're trying to sell, such as an adjacent mini storage business, a sales center, or even multifamily apartments that may be near the property. It takes away the rights of a property owner to sell their property without first giving concurrent legal notice to the state of Minnesota and every member of a household in a community, and based on the current definition, that means minor children, by certified mail that includes the price, terms, and conditions of an offer they have received to sell or transfer ownership of their property. We're not aware of any other property class in the state that has this requirement imposed on them. It fails to address common real estate sales process where there are multiple offers, and these constantly change during negotiation. So there may be more than one potential buyer, and the property owners in negotiations, and the bill would require the owner then to continually notify the resident group of what's transpiring with the various negotiations going on. It takes away the property right of a community owner to accept an offer to lease, sell, or transfer ownership of their property for 60 days as a part of the notice requirement. And it further requires, if a community owner rejects the offer from a representative of the organization, that yes, they must provide written notice and the reasons why they rejected the offer by certified mail within 5 days to the resident organization, and then they must wait an additional 31 days before they could execute a purchase agreement. So we've gone from an already 60-day delay to now a 91-day delay in their ability to sell their property. There are no protections for the community who negotiates in good faith and then rejects the offer, that they won't face legal challenges alleging non-compliance, perhaps with some of the provisions in the bill, delaying a sale even further. It actually eliminates, and this is interesting, one of the hard-fought rights and protections of residents currently in 327C095 sub 6, such that when a nonprofit representative purchases a community that's closing, they need to certify to the Commissioner of Commerce that the property will be preserved as a manufactured home park for at least 10 years from the date of sale. And this is language that was added as recently as 2019. In the bill in subdivision 7, it eliminates the requirement that a nonprofit or representative continue to operate the manufactured home park as a manufactured home park community, and instead shifts it to saying that it needs to remain for 50 years, one of other possible uses, such as a 1-family, 2-family, or a multifamily dwelling use for affordable housing. So that's a significant change in essentially allowing somebody to come in with this first right of purchase and then to actually convert the use. Whereas current law wouldn't permit that if exercising the right of first refusal that exists. So the other concern we have is that it doesn't specifically say that in making this change of use to perhaps multifamily, that approval is required by the municipality for zoning and changes, so that you could exercise the right of first purchase and then proceed to the municipality to try to change use, and then the municipality could deny it, and I'm not sure where that leaves the sale or transaction then. So it's just one other hitch that's problematic. And as I mentioned previously, we're recognized in Minnesota as a national leader in allowing the conversion of privately owned properties to cooperative use. And so essentially what the bill does and concerns us most is eliminates property rights and will create uncertainty amongst owners of manufactured home communities in terms of investing and going forward in making upgrades to their community if in fact they lose their fundamental property right to sell their property. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you for your testimony. This does go on to the Commerce Committee, so that there will be another committee discussion about this. We're joined by Michelle Carlson from Ives Realty. Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record.
Chair Hausman and community members, thank you so very much for allowing me to speak. My name is Michelle Carlson. I'm a second-generation manufactured home community owner and a licensed real estate broker. I live in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. I've worked for the last 25 years in manufactured housing. I specialize in manufactured housing property management, and I'm an active voice in affordable housing as part of the MMHA board, the Habitat, my local Habitat for Humanity board, and also my local chamber. I oversee and own 1,200 plus home sites in 6 manufactured home communities located in both the metro area and rural Minnesota. I was raised in manufactured housing just north of St. Cloud, and my first home purchase was a manufactured home in Duluth. My mission as a manufactured home community owner is to provide the same sense of neighborhood that to my residents that I felt when I was growing up. As mentioned, we have communities throughout Minnesota, but one of the largest is Zenith Terrace in Duluth. It's a beautiful community, one of the finest in northern Minnesota, with over 500 home sites. We've owned this property since 1981, and that is 40 years this year. The community has seen 6 expansions, adding over 200 home sites, with ongoing upgrades in electrical, gas infrastructure, street overlays, installation of off-street parking, newer playgrounds, bus stops, and so much more to beautify this community. In all of the communities we own, we have professional management teams that are on site to assist our residents. We have strong customer support. We organize social gatherings for our communities and certainly ensure that our communities are top-notch and looking great. We like to have added value to our residents' living experience and a neighborhood that our residents are proud to call home. Many of my residents have lived with us for 10 plus years, some even 20 years. They've raised their families and now their children are purchasing homes within our community. A lot of pride of ownership. And there are certainly, these are homeowners with choice. They could choose any type of housing, but they are choosing manufactured housing in a land lease community. I have real concerns with this House File 112 as a community owner and in the ability to maintain the ability to sell my communities in the future. These are assets that I have continually developed and invested in, and it has been my livelihood for 25 years. This bill takes away a fundamental real estate property right of a manufactured home community to grant a right of first option to purchase. And it is giving it to a nonprofit buyer, resulting in a significant loss of income without just compensation. It also takes away property rights for me to be able to package not only my community, but also perhaps my mini storage or my sales center together in a sale. It does diminish my property values. It will easily delay a sale for 6 months and perhaps even deter a sale completely. And this is, what buyer is going to wait around for 6 months knowing whether or not they have the ability to continue with the sale? I doubt I can do it without court action. And that's not fair. It's a taking of property rights. We also, in my neighborhood, we have cooperatives, grocery cooperatives, and we have like senior apartment cooperatives, but neither of these cooperatives have, such as we have, a right of first opportunity to purchase, which delays them. So why are manufactured home communities being singled out? I'm a licensed real estate broker. Certainly I get phone calls from potential people who wish to purchase our communities. And the advocates have the same right to come to a private home community owner to offer an option to purchase, but it's what you're offering is not a level playing field. It's giving nonprofits that ability to have that first option without compensation to me. I hope to continue to offer good, clean, affordable community lifestyle to my residents. And I want to do that well. I can say that with this becoming law, it will be very difficult for me to continue doing business in Minnesota when I have other states surrounding who do not have this first opportunity to purchase law. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. I would say I wish I could say that this bill needs a little bit of work, but honestly, it is foundationally flawed and it does take away my property rights. With over 1,000 privately owned communities in the state, we are the biggest advocates of manufactured housing and hope to continue to be. Thank you, Chair and committee members.
Thank you for your testimony. And we're joined now by Paul, is it Eger or Eger, Minnesota Realtors? Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Paul Eger and I am Vice President of Governmental Affairs for the Minnesota Realtors Association. Minnesota Realtors is a statewide business trade association with a membership of over 21,000 real estate professionals working with buyers and sellers of all types of property in every corner of the state. Thank you for the opportunity to testify regarding our concerns with House File 112, which I also shared with Representative Bernardy via email last Friday. Mr. Bruner and Ms. Carlson both did a great job of describing some of the specific issues with the bill, so I will be very brief. We have two primary concerns with House File 112. First, Minnesota Realtors supports policies that recognize and protect the right to own, use, and transfer real property. One of the fundamental rights of any property owner is the ability to freely market and sell his or her property without unreasonable restrictions. An owner of any property, including a manufactured home park, may have numerous business and/or personal reasons for deciding to sell a property and then when to put that property on the market. By creating this opportunity to purchase process, House File 112 would substantially interfere with this important property right. On the purchase side, as you just heard from Ms. Carlson, residents are already free to put in an offer on any park when the property goes on the market. In fact, for manufactured home parks, current law even includes a notice of sale provision, which Mr. Bruner referenced in his testimony. The second concern we have is Minnesota Realtors opposes policies that adversely affect the timeliness of the real estate transaction. The opportunity to purchase process in House File 112 represents a delay in the market time of the property of at least 91 days if the owner does not accept the offers submitted by the residents. Meanwhile, there may be potential buyers with the resources to purchase and invest in the property, but who are not willing or able to wait out the delay mandated by this bill. Madam Chair, thank you again for the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you for your testimony. Mr. Worth, do we have questions from members?
Yes, Madam Chair. First on the list is Representative Bliss.
Representative Bliss.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the author, at first blush, the way you described it, it sounded relatively reasonable, but when we started discussing it, I have some questions. Recently, a mobile home park sold in Bemidji. It wasn't necessarily in an industrial park area, but it was adjacent to it. And I'm wondering, with a 50-year commitment to keeping it as affordable housing, does that take into account any kind of zoning changes the city might put in that area? Again, this was just adjacent to an industrial park.
Representative Bernardy, we could also have Mr. Anderson available for questions too, I think, right? Do you want to take that, or would you like Mr. Anderson to?
Mr. Anderson would be fine.
Mr. Anderson.
Well, and that, thank you for the question, Representative. That was one of the reasons to build in some flexibility with the longer time frame of 50 years as opposed to the 10 years, which isn't rescinded but applies to another section of the law having to do with exercise of the right of first refusal, which is a different right and a different time frame. Imagining that over a longer period of time, 50 years as opposed to 10 years, that there may need to be some flexibility in terms of how affordable housing is provided on that site. That's why additional options are listed. I'd like to think we could all predict where things would be in 50 years, but if I could, I would be an extremely wealthy man.
Follow up, Representative Bliss.
Yeah, author or somebody else, do you know of any other law in the state of Minnesota that requires a 50-year commitment after purchasing land?
Mr. Anderson, I don't know whether you'd be in a position to, we might have to go to a researcher for an answer to that.
Chair, Representative, yes, I would have to look into that.
Yeah, sorry, Madam Chair.
Representative Bliss.
I seriously doubt you're going to find another law in the state of Minnesota with that kind of a commitment. That's just, I couldn't imagine there being another law like that. I do have another, another question. So, Representative Bernardy, you stated there's no requirement to sell to the offering nonprofit or residents. But if, for instance, if you got two identical offers, one was from a commercial bidder and the other was from the residents, identical price, and the owner of the land decided to sell to the commercial purchaser, you say there's no requirement to sell to the community. Why then is there a 31-day wait time between when you accept the other offer and you can? Is that for the community to get a lawyer to file charges or file some sort of action against the seller? What is that 30 days for? What's that wait for?
Mr. Anderson or Representative Bernardy?
Mr. Anderson, I'll let you take that.
The 31 days was just to ensure that there was spacing in between an offer being declined and a final purchase offer being signed. If the offers are identical, it would be entirely up to the seller to determine which offer that they wanted to go with. It was just in order to insert a period of time to make sure that things were properly sequenced in terms of declining an offer, signing a purchase agreement.
Well, Madam Chair, let's say that the community member offered $1,000 more, but the commercial provider or the seller thought the commercial provider had a better solution for the area. It's his land. Can he do that?
Mr. Anderson.
Representative, the decision on what party to sell to always resides with the seller. It's simply an opportunity to put in an offer and to receive notice in order to put in an offer, but a resident offer doesn't trump other offers. It's ultimately the choice of the seller.
Representative Bliss.
Just one more. I'm sorry, guys. One final question. I don't understand the 31-day wait. If you decide to take an offer, why can't you take the offer and sell it? Extending the sale for another 31 days, that could make or break a deal. This is private property. I don't understand why we have to wait 31 days. If we've notified the community, they've put in an offer, the seller decided he doesn't want to sell it to the community for whatever reason, why the wait? Why the 31-day wait? Why can't we go move forward with the sale at that point?
Mr. Anderson.
Chair, Representative, that's certainly an issue that could be revisited in the proposal. Like I said, the intention was just to make sure that things were sequenced properly, that an offer from the residents was declined for whatever reason that the seller decided to decline the offer, and that's entirely up to them to decide what that reason might be. But just to ensure that that occurs before a purchase offer is entered into, but the exact time frame is certainly something that could be revisited in the proposal.
Mr. Wirth, do we have other questions?
Yes, Madam Chair. Next on the list is Representative Howard.
Representative Howard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a couple questions. And this is either for the bill author or for the testifiers. It was referenced that, I think by Mr. Bruner, that there's no other property class that is treated this way in law. But I'm curious, are there any other property classes where someone owns the structure, but not the land, in which a sale would actually displace the owner of that structure?
Mr. Anderson.
This is, thank you, Chair, Representative. This is certainly a unique circumstance with two sets of ownership rights. And certainly from our perspective, we see that as a strong argument for looking for some kind of reasonable notice and some kind of opportunity to purchase in order to achieve a bit of a balance, even though ultimately it would still be on the seller to determine who they would want to sell to.
Representative Howard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just think that's a really important point for us to consider as we're debating this. You know, this isn't, we're not talking about somebody selling an office building. We're talking about selling homes where people live. And as the testifier mentioned, not, you know, their decision of whether to sell or not is still going to rest with the owner. Another question, one point was brought up that this would limit the ability to sort of sell if an owner owns multiple manufactured home parks and packages them together. That would limit this. That, to me, that actually was a red flag that, boy, if a single owner owned multiple parks all over the state, in short order, they could displace a lot of people real quick. And so I'm curious, does anyone have any data about home ownership of parks? Or are there single owners that own and operate a multiple array of parks all over the state? Or is it often that one owner owns one park?
Mr. Anderson.
There are still what are referred to as mom and pop owners, single property ownership along the lines of what you're describing. But certainly for decades now, we've seen a process of consolidation, and as Representative Bernardy mentioned in presenting the proposal, we've seen an increase in consolidation of ownership, including among national companies and national chains. That I believe the figure was that 70% of the home sites that sold last year sold to national consolidators. So there is still mom and pop ownership, but it's a decreasing segment of the ownership.
Representative Howard.
Just one more question, Madam Chair. Mr. Bruner mentioned that there is a public notice requirement for local newspaper. I'm just curious, is that the extent of it, that there's a notification that has to be made in the local newspaper? And I'm curious what the timing elements are of that public notice in terms of when that is notice is required before a sale.
Representative Anderson, otherwise, I don't know if we have a nonpartisan researcher on the call for some of these technical questions. If just alert us if you have an answer from nonpartisan research. Otherwise, Mr. Anderson.
Yes, the current notice requirement, the requirement that's being repealed is a requirement only to provide notice if officially listed using a realtor. And based on our review of sales over the last 5 years, that seems to be an extremely rare approach to selling the properties that overwhelmingly the sales are made without any kind of formal listing of the property, in which case that that notice requirement is never required. It never goes into effect, and residents aren't made aware that the property is on the market.
So Howard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All this is helpful. And one just final comment. You know, I worked a little bit in this space over the last 2 years on the, oh geez, my camera fell over there. The right of first refusal. And there was a lot of technical issues there, and I was really grateful for the stakeholders on all sides working together on that. And so to me, this seems like an area where I really see a value in this approach, and hope that stakeholders can continue to work together and see if we can find a path forward. Thanks, Madam Chair.
And Representative Howard, this was a new area to me, but as I'm listening to this, I'm realizing this is really selling the land out from under a house. And that's the sort of unusual nature of this, and the risk that a homeowner is put in. Mr. Worth, who's next?
Madam Chair, 2 more questions. Representative Farr, followed by Representative Heinrich.
Farr, you said?
Yes, Representative Farr.
Madam Chair, Representative Farr, so maybe a question that I'll piggyback on Representative Howard's comments there. So at the end of the day, yes, we're selling property under a home, but if you're the owner of that property, you're selling an asset. So my question is there any other law where we require a person selling an asset in the state to give a right of first option to someone else? Anywhere else do we do that?
I don't know, Mr. Anderson, if you have an answer to that. I'm still wondering if we have a nonpartisan researcher who might also. Mr. Anderson.
Chair, Representative, I don't have a specific answer to your question.
And this, I mean, the unusual thing is it's not often, I would think, that you sell land out from under a house. So
right.
I mean, it is a fairly unique situation like that.
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes, Madam Chair, and understood. And I think, you know, but to that owner, it's an asset that they're trying to sell. And so I struggle with, if we don't do that anywhere else in state law, should we be doing it here? Secondly, just maybe a comment on the 50-year commitment. I think that's going to hurt the potential of those owners buying the property, because as a lender, if that's all that you can do with that property, that's going to be taken into account when they're going to try and get a loan. That's what it has to be for 50 years. As a lender, I'm looking at highest and best use of that, as should the owner, I think. And so I think that 50-year commitment could actually hamper the ability for owners to go and buy their own mobile home park. So just a thought there from a personal perspective. Madam Chair, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One more, Mr. Worth.
Yes, Madam Chair, Representative Heinrich.
Representative Heinrich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a question for either Mr. Anderson or Representative Bernardy. I'm not sure who best to answer it. It's I understand the intention in doing this for residents, but you're also specifically cutting in nonprofits and into the language and, nonprofits who claim to work for the residents. Doesn't that give nonprofits a kind of an unfair advantage? And what is the, I guess, ownership stake that a resident could end up with? My guess would be maybe a few $100s in equity. And so doesn't this just give a nonprofit a unfair advantage against a private investor? I guess that's my first question, Madam Chair.
Mr. Anderson.
Chair, Representative. So as I said, it's just notice to put in an offer that doesn't have to be accepted, and even then, the offer can only be submitted if it has the support of 51% of the resident homeowners. So it's something that can only be exercised as an option for the residents themselves. So it would have to be an organized group of residents that would be interested in doing this. It does allow for them to work with a nonprofit. I can say that in terms of the 9 communities that have become resident-owned park cooperatives in the state, all of those have resulted in communities directly owned by the residents through a cooperative model. So I would certainly imagine that residents exercising that level of support for submitting an offer would be interested in retaining ownership of the community.
Representative Heinrich.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for that, Mr. Anderson. It certainly does concern me, though, that this bill would take away valuable property rights from owners. Fortunately, I'm certain this bill has no chance of moving in the Senate. I'm happy for that. I think a group of residents or a resident already has the ability to buy a park on the open market. I am also concerned over the 60 to 90-day waiting period. A lot of people have mentioned the 50-year mandate, but the 60 to 90-day waiting period concerns me when you talk about an investor. That investment capital could go somewhere else in that time period, jeopardizing the whole process if the group of people, the people that are living at the park can't get their act together and get an offer in on time. So this bill has a bunch of issues for me. I'm going to be a no today. And like I said, I'm thankful that I don't think it has any chance of passing the Senate. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Worth, any other questions?
Yes, Madam Chair, Representative Howard has his hand up.
Representative, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Representative Howard.
Representative Howard.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I just had one clarifying question related to the Senate. Could Representative Bernardy share, is this bill authored? What's the authorship look like in the Senate on this bill? I understood that there was some bipartisan support for this, and so just wanted to get that on the record.
Representative Bernardy.
Representative Housley is the chief author in the Senate, and Senator Housley and Senator Matthews has also signed on, and they both represent the Republican Party.
So Senator Housley is the Senate chief author. Representative Howard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I guess I'm a little more optimistic about our path to getting this accomplished. So
thank you.
Thanks, Madam Chair.
Okay, no further questions. Representative Bernardy, do you have any final comments?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I saw that there was a little bit confusion with the right of first refusal bill, and that law says that when a park is being sold for redevelopment, residents may match the developer's offer for the land in order to keep their community open. This bill does not force a landowner to sell to the residents. And I just want to say House File 112 gives homeowners the opportunity to put in an offer to buy the land in which they live. It's an opportunity for these families and individuals to remain connected to their schools, jobs, and neighborhoods. Thank you for listening to this bill, and I appreciate your support in moving this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Bernardy. I will renew my motion that House File 112 be recommended to pass and be re-referred to the Committee on Commerce, Finance, and Policy. Mr. Wilcox, please take the roll.
Houseman,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Tice,
No.
Agbaje,
Aye.
Bliss,
No.
Gomez,
Aye.
Hassan,
Aye.
Heinrich,
No.
Her,
Aye.
Jurgens,
No.
Olson,
Aye.
Barr,
No.
and Ryer.
Aye.
Madam Chair, that is 8 ayes and 5 nays.
There being 8 ayes and 5 nays, the motion prevails. The bill is referred.